Hi, everybody. This is Saad. Last night, watched a movie, The Good Liar. Pretty cool movie. And then went upstairs to the study for a few minutes, thinking that I won't be sucked into Twitter. And then I saw civil rights activist, my brother, Colin Kaepernick, the great Hall of Fame quarterback, who was only stopped from breaking all records because of, white supremacy. And so you know how it is. A honey badger doesn't walk away from an opportunity to destroy someone's bullshit. So, Colin Kaepernick, here's his take on yesterday's Kyle Rittenhouse's verdict. We just witnessed a system built on white supremacy validate the terroristic acts of a white supremacist. This only further validates the need to abolish our current system. Revolution! Che Guevara. White supremacy cannot be reformed. In good old days, Kaepernick would immediately be taken in a straitjacket to a mental institution because no one could be so removed from reality and so unhinged. But in today's world, you just throw the two magical words, a form of magical thinking, white supremacist, and then you're cool, you're progressive, you're invited to the cool parties. So I responded. Let me put my glasses on. I actually did a whole bunch of tweets. I won't read all of them for you. You can go to my Twitter feed from last night. You have the opportunity to use your platform for good, for unity, for hope, for love, for a better future. You've had endless breaks in your life, and yet all you do is sow division, tribalism, hatred, ingratitude, anger. You are a cretin, respectfully, of course. Then I added, you've made more money throwing a ball around for a year than 100 teachers, firefighters, surgeons, professors, and cops will make in 10 years combined. Yet you whine, you divide, you hate, you complain. You're an affront to human dignity. Stand tall, be grateful, have some grace. And then, I'm trying to look for the tweet. I told him that, the proof that Kaepernick is a white supremacist is that he allowed his adoptive white parents to raise him with love and kindness. He benefited from their white kindness and love. He supported the white system. And then in brackets, I put, yes, all of my tweets about this idiot are satirical. So let's analyze this guy. He was raised by white people, right? It shouldn't matter. In a sane world, this is completely irrelevant. It's like saying he was raised by people with brown eyes or green eyes or who were under 5'10" tall. But he's decided that the way to have purpose and meaning in his life, since he had a career as a quarterback that is substantially less accomplished than that of my tante Henriette, who has since passed away, who's never played football. She was a better quarterback than he ever was. He now has to find purpose and meaning. I'm going to get psychoanalytic on you for a moment. How do you find purpose and meaning? You find a cause, a noble cause, a just cause. So when he played in the NFL, it was a form of slavery. When he was kicked out of the NFL, it was a form of racism. He is going to become the new Martin Luther King. And therefore, he is going to be a social rights activist, social justice. Now, he has the intelligence of my worn out socks, and therefore his positions are not founded on well articulated, arguments. And therefore, all he says, whatever happens, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. Were your parents, your white parents, part of the white supremacy movement? Are you not able to get out of your parasitized mind and recognize people as individuals? They are great, noble white people. They are asshole white people. Same thing for blacks. Same thing for Jews. Same things for Muslims. Martin Luther King's message, remember that little speech, I have a dream, judge people on the merits of their character, the content of their character, that was lost on you? Kyle Rittenhouse is a white guy who shot 3 white men. There is no proof of any kind that he's a white supremacist. There is no proof that race had anything to do with this. And yet, a white man being acquitted for shooting other white men is a form of white supremacy. It's unreal. Larry Elder, a black man, has been called the black face of white supremacy. You know, every day I wake up and I look around, and yes, I wrote The Parasitic Mind. I know about idea pathogens. I know what happens to parasitized minds. And yet, I'm always baffled. I can't believe that people can engage in such disordered thinking. And so you start thinking, I mean, what percentage of their positions is due to, blatant self-deception and lies, and what percentage is due to them actually believing it? Of course, we also know that oftentimes you engage in self-deception in order to be able to lie to others. So does Colin Kaepernick truly believe that we need to abolish the system and it's all white supremacy? Does he do that while engaging in other acts that are so hypocritical, supporting, wearing running shoes that are manufactured using child slave labor? That doesn't bother him, right? When he is the endorser of Nike, and Nike engages in astonishingly, devastatingly cruel practices, does that bother him? No, white supremacy, freedom, revolution. My brother. He is an affront to human dignity, because one of the great qualities of humans is to have grace, to have poise, to have kindness. Now, don't get me wrong, not infinite pathological empathy the way the progressives do. I am truly, by default, a very affable, very fun-loving, as anybody who knows me would attest to. But yet you come after me, I turn into a honey badger. So, but as a default value, being kind, being graceful, being fun-loving, treating people with respect, void of poisonous anger in your heart, that's the way to a good life, as I explain in my next book. And yet this schmuck, this cretin, this ingrate, all he does, just like him, just like his little buddy, tall buddy, LeBron James. LeBron James is afraid to go from his Malibu house to Staples Center because he's going to be hunted down because there's a daily genocide of black people from the police. Who could say such words? Who could utter such words completely unshackled by truth or reality? There's a daily genocide of black people in the U.S.? Is that the data? Does the data support that? So the reason why on a Friday evening I drop everything and go after this idiot is because I genuinely feel assaulted, existentially assaulted. I feel soiled by this kind of attitude. I come from the model of a society rooted in tribalism. The Balkans is the same thing. Rwanda is the same thing. Syria is the same thing. Iraq is the same thing. You don't end up with good outcomes if you balkanize your existential daily life. It doesn't lead to a good outcome. What is fantastic about the United States, not perfect, but better than any other society that's ever existed, is that it is the only society that has found a way to be multiracial, multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multi-everything, and function as a democracy where everyone bands around a common set of ideals. The Bill of Rights, the American Constitution, freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, the scientific method, individual dignity. Once you start having parasites like this failed quarterback sow division and hatred, it's only going to end up one place. People are not going to forevermore be willing to passively tolerate being called racists and transphobe and Islamophobe. First of all, demystify these words. Turn these words against those who hurl them at you. Every person who comes after me, I just call them a white supremacist. I use it, of course, satirically, but then that makes them confused because they think that they have weaponized this against you. Turn it back against them, they run away. They're cowards, they're castrated, they're spineless. Rise up, stand tall. Regrettably, I'm not a tall person, but I walk as though I'm 18 feet tall because it's my dignity that decides my height. Colin Kaepernick might be tall physically, but he's a very, very small man. Have a good weekend, everybody. Cheers.